You are listening to post-game content on YouTube.com.
And if you're not listening to it on YouTube.com, then we're gonna have to
Stop,
arrest you.
stop pirating
Yeah, we need
it.
we need the I don't know we need the imaginary money to put on our
on
actual
our on
table.
our regular table.
Yeah, yeah. Uh,
Oh man,
all right.
I was not expecting that call out post from a couple days ago.
I was just sitting. I was just sitting in my bed, and I was playing Mario 64 actually, and so preview as to what I'm going to talk about later. But I was playing Mario 64, and all of a sudden I'm like, you know what? I don't have another
Fuck
podcast. Why
Tom.
does Tom get two? Yeah, yeah. So
All right. Well, let's get into some quick news stories.
go
So,
ahead.
um, my sort of couple minor ones, both having to do with people translating stuff. But so the
Okay.
PlayStation Store has been suspended seemingly indefinitely in China. So there was a tweet from PlayStation China that says that was translated by Daniel Ahmed, who is I you've definitely seen him around. He's a prominent translator. But anyway, the tweet says the PlayStation Store or PSN has been temporarily disabled in mainland China from 7 a.m. on May 10th. No time or date given for resumption of services, is what Daniel Ahmed was able to translate from that. The official reason given is to carry out security upgrades, but it is unclear what this means exactly. Um, but then he follows up by saying, the only reason I'm posting this is, or I'm sorry, the only reason I'm posting is this, and I kid you not, is because an Xbox fanboy claimed on Twitter like microblogging site for China, Weibo, that they reported to authorities about certain backdoor elements that are easily accessible to switch to overseas services. Ahmed added, was taken down right after, so let's see what happens. Um, so, I mean, it's unclear if that is the exact reason why the PSN in China was taken down. Obviously, um, China is very overly secure, shall we say, when it comes to internet outside of the country and things like
Hmm.
that. So, kind of a weird news story that might develop further. The other thing which I found was that so there's recent Nintendo investors briefing, and a translator named Robert Safazan. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right.
Probably not,
Um,
but
I like to imagine it's Safazan because Phazon is like the blue radioactive goop in the Metroid Prime series.
yeah, I was gonna say that's the Metroid goop, right? Yeah, that's
Yeah,
like what Dark Samus is made out of.
exactly. And if it's not, it's Safazan to us. God damn it. So,
Yeah,
so anyway,
post game content says Savazon.
there. So from this press release, Safazan translates it as there's no current plan to disclose the subscriber amount for Nintendo Switch Online. They believe subscriber total will continue to increase, especially as more games with online play are released. And then Nintendo will continue to add more features and mechanics to Nintendo Switch Online to make software more enjoyable and convenient. Over 100 million Nintendo accounts have been created. So obviously, we don't know what these changes are going to be. Hopefully, something more expansive than the NES, SNES, digital games and Tetris 99. I mean, those are basically Tetris 99 is really um,
Actually, here at PGC we call that the Fortnite killer.
Tetris Battle Royale.
Yeah, I mean that's what it was. Is
That's
that not
true.
what it was?
It didn't kill Fortnite, but it's
It.
certainly
What are you
Tetris Battle
talking
Royale.
about? You, name one
But
person you know that still plays Fortnite
Joe
since the.
Biden, apparently.
Oh no, Joe Biden's Fortnite style hologram. Why? Like, okay, we were talking about this before the show. I promised not to talk about this too much, but like, be, because like I said, I didn't read the article. I was too like I was going into shock basically. Anyway, just the picture, like the concept art, I'm gonna call it, that they show with the article is just a giant like gentle blue Joe Biden in like what I can only imagine is the Grand Canyon, and that terrifies me. I don't like that. So anyway,
Uh, yeah, it's pretty funny. I I legitimately don't know if this is a parody article or not. I'm just briefly skimming through it.
Kotaku, yeah, Kotaku published it, and they don't usually do that. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's part of a tag called failed state, which that is the only news story in the failed state tag right now. So who
Who
knows?
knows? Who knows?
If it does happen, we will absolutely be talking about it.
Oh, for sure. And
But
also, if that means if Biden does win the election, he's the first gamer president. So I mean, I, that's a plus, I guess. I mean,
is
who
it though,
knows?
Kevin? Is it really?
I mean, gamer president? Yeah, that's. I think that's at least worth some good boy points.
All right, for sure. So Kevin, I have to say, I feel like these last couple episodes we've been like pretty positive in terms of the games that we've been talking about for the most part. There was the little Lilo and Stitch Great Wall,
Yeah, anyway.
but aside, but I decided as we were planning out the episode for this week, I was like, you know what, like let's just get like angry or at least slightly miffed about some games, and
Okay.
specifically the games where there's a moment in it where it's a great game and you stop playing, or it's a terrible game and then something happens and you become really into it after that. So I know you got a full
Yeah.
list, so I'll let you go first.
I got all right. I got. Yeah, it's a list. First of all, the first things that came to mind when you said that, I obviously because my brain's primary function is to try and relate everything to Sonic the Hedgehog. The first thing I thought of was the space levels, just all of the space levels from Sonic Adventure 2, just all of them, because like okay, Sonic games in general have this tendency to make really good first impressions and then just kind of go downhill. Like
Mhm.
as a Sonic fan, I will confirm this. Like this is just something that happens in a lot of Sonic games. Like everyone remembers Green Hill Zone, obviously. Everyone knows, Emerald Hill, uh, Angel Island Zone. I guess Mushroom Hill Zone is kind of a first level too. Just all the first levels, and then you got like Palm Tree Panic. Even I feel like people recognize the music from
Definitely,
Sonic
yeah.
CD, either the Japanese or the American version, doesn't matter. But
Especially because it has
um,
that bum 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 bum
yeah,
woo.
woo, yeah, and then like everyone starts cheering. Oh man, dude, the Good Future song like that. Like I could put on the Good Future music from Palm Tree Panic, and I will just be in a good mood. like oh my god, everyone's cheering for me. Oh my god, I'm so happy. Uh,
Why they call it
but
Palm Tree Panic should be Palm Tree Paradise.
yeah, exactly. Anyway, but yeah, no, my point is that all these Sonic games have great first levels. The music is usually like especially good in the first level. Like I mean, just think City Escape. City
Hmm.
Escape is like one of the best like openings to a game. You
Oh,
know,
absolutely.
just I don't know. It's good. It's good. But the space levels in Sonic Adventure 2 suck. Like they just all suck because they all try to implement like this like low grav mechanic. The shadow levels. If you have you gotten to these levels yet? I know you recently, well, fairly recently bought Sonic Adventure 2 like way back when we
Yeah,
were
I
back in Boston.
yeah, I actually have finished Sonic Adventure 2, so I played all the levels.
Okay,
Uh
so you know what I'm talking about then.
yeah, I was the one that always gets me because I actually like some of them. Like I like Cosmic Wall, which is Eggman's space level a
Oh
lot.
God, I hate Cosmic Wall. I'm
Uh,
sorry. Actually,
um,
no. Wait, no. Sorry. Cosmic Wall is good, but the Tails level in space is bad.
oh
Cosmic
yeah,
Wall was actually okay. The Tails one sucks, and then the epilogue. That's the one. That's the part I wanted to talk about. where you play as all the characters
Oh,
specifically.
what's that level? Cannon's Core.
Yeah, that just big old red X for me. But
Yeah,
go,
I like Cannon's Core conceptually. I think
I
I
do
like,
too. That's what gets me through it. Like just playing it and being like, yes, all the characters are here. This is this is a proper finale. Like this is cool. Um,
but the tail section of Cannon's Core is like easily the worst.
that's awful. It's so bad. The Knuckles and Rouge parts are okay. Like those are genuinely kind of good.
Yeah.
They're not the worst, but they're not the best in my opinion. The
Hmm.
Sonic level is hard. That one's
Yes.
just hard, which makes sense because it's like the final one, but like it also sucks because it's the first part. So well, not the first
Right.
part, but like it's pretty early on before you, and then you play as him again later or whatever. I think if I'm remembering it correctly, it's been a while since I replayed the epilogue. Been a couple months actually, not that long. Uh, but my my point is that like they make you play pretty early on like the hardest segment, and then like by the time you're almost done as like the final segment, you die or something and you have to restart the whole thing. uh
Yeah.
Mad Space, don't even I don't even have
Oh.
to say anything else. Like I mean, don't get me wrong, I appreciate Sonic Adventure 2 for being Mario Galaxy like 10 years before Mario Galaxy was Mario Galaxy, but like it's just I mean the Dreamcast as a whole was the Wii U before the Wii U. It was like 15 years before the Wii U. So like
Hmm.
uh, I don't know. Like I appreciate all these things that Sega tried to do, but like just didn't work. Just didn't work. Mad Space didn't work. Meteor Head. Meteor Head was better than Mad Space, but
Yeah.
uh,
The one level I thought you were going to talk about is it's not in the last story, or it's Sonic's, it's not his last level, but it's his second to last level. I think it's
the
gosh, I
one
can't,
before the one before Final Rush or Final Rush.
the one before Final Rush where you have to go
I
on the ceiling and stuff.
that's where you get the flame somersault for the first time, right?
Right.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I don't remember the level name either, but yeah, the one where you go on the ceiling and stuff. That level is kind of weird for me because like it has its moments where it feels really good. Like
Hmm.
I've played Sonic Adventure 2 like an ungodly amount of times, so like I
And you like SA1 more, right?
I do like SA1 more. Just because I think like Sonic 1 is more consistent, or Sonic Adventure 1 is more consistently good, and I feel like SA2's highs are better than SA1's highs, but SA2's lows are like so much more below SA1's lows. I don't know. Um,
That's fair.
I feel
We'll
like the
we'll do
worst.
a great SA2 SA1 debate at some point because I
Yeah,
prefer
I think so.
SA2 over SA1. But
Um, but anyway, back to that level. It's like it's okay. Now that I've played it enough times, like I get used to the jank controls and like my thumb just kind of knows what way to go when I'm suddenly upside down. But
hmm.
like that's just not how it should be played. Like that you shouldn't have to like muscle memory that. And it gets into this weird like gray area where like part of the fun of Sonic is like, refining your run and like going back, especially because the game encourages that with the upgrades and stuff. And so like part of the game is going back and exploring areas you couldn't before, getting a better time, getting a better score because as you play, you know the levels more. So part of it is that sort of memorization, and part of it is that like muscle memory aspect, and that's what helps you get in like this weird flow state with these games.
Hmm.
But the space levels just like they fight you, like they fight you. Like it's so much. The way I see it is if I can get into that state for City Escape, why can't I get into that state for the later levels? And I mean like I don't usually just play through the game just to get to one part and then stop. When I play through the games again, I usually go all the way through. So it's not like I'm playing one more than the other.
Right.
It's just I don't know. Um. Anyway, that's just the first one. I knew you would probably have something to say about that.
Yes.
Uh.
I mean, I do generally though like see where you're coming from. It's I don't know. I I do feel like I still prefer SA2 over SA1, but like I feel like I maybe need another playthrough of SA2, or just some more time to stew with it for me
I
to make a fully formed opinion.
I don't want to make this all about the Sonic Adventure games. I do. I'm lying. But uh. I think part of it was I grew up with DX. Obviously, I GameCube kid. But when I actually older and finally bought a Dreamcast and I played the original. I genuinely like the original one more, and like you'll hear people say that it was a bad port job and like that all these things ruin
Hmm.
SA1. That's not
I
really
can't
true.
I
Like,
can't believe they changed the textures in Twinkle Park. It's the worst port ever, Kevin.
well, see, like that's not entirely true. Like, I I I don't disagree with the Dreamcast purists. I think that the Dreamcast version is like better, but only very, very slightly. Like,
Hmm.
and we can get into that some other time. But I just think it's really interesting that a lot of people are really quick to like point out these like bugs that were in both versions of the game.
Right.
I don't know, but anyway, what about you? Do you have something you want to
Yes.
throw in before I continue down my list?
Well, not to make this whole segment Sonic themed, but the game a game that I was enjoying, and then there's a moment that made me go meh, is Sonic Lost World.
Oh,
And
so wait, let me predict how this went. So you were like, "Oh, Sonic Lost World. Okay, this looks cool," and then you realized that there was a run button in a Sonic game, and you were like, "Eh."
no, I actually didn't. I don't mind the run button in Sonic Lost World because the level design is built around it. I
Right, yeah.
think it's weird to have it, but it doesn't affect my quote enjoyment of the game.
I think it was a different formula that they were trying out with, and I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I remember up to launch, I was sort of hesitant because of the tubular level design, and it just felt like very unnatural. Which like,
Yeah. On one hand, I liked it though because I remember like a lot of like Sonic the Hedgehog stuff, especially like the modern era, is defined by like the surrealism.
mhm.
Like think about Radical Highway or uh whatever the highway level is called when you're playing a Shadow in SA2. I don't remember. Um, if you think
It's
about
a
those
Radical
levels,
Highway for Shadow. It's Mission Street for Tails. Those are the highway levels, I believe.
no. Oh wait, is it Radical Highway? Because Radical Highway is also in SA1, and it's like a
Oh wait,
different.
yeah, yeah. You're right. I can't remember what it's called for Shadow.
Yeah, I don't remember either then. But yeah, Mission Street is Tails' version. It might actually just be Radical Highway for both, because I know they reused that name in Sonic Advance 3. They like
Oh,
just
that's
straight up
true. That's
reused the
true.
name. So anyway. Oh, by the way, just quick side note. All that stuff I was saying about Sonic games leaving good first impressions. Sonic Advance 3 is the only Sonic game that leaves like that actually gets better as you play it. So
Yes,
um, the
but
first level of SA3, as we'll call it, is absolute garbage. So
in that vein of good first impressions in Sonic games, Windy Hill and Dusty Desert are both, I think, really good levels. I mean, they're like trope wise, like it's very safe. It's
yeah,
like grassland, desert land, but like in terms of
yeah.
like fundamental level design, like me having fun playing the game, like it's a good time. Then you get to Frozen Factory, which
then the cutscenes start playing, and you're like, why is Eggman standing in the void? And
no, but like I mean, like I was. Here's the thing. So my first Sonic game was Sonic Colors, and I'm probably the luckiest modern Sonic fan ever alive because my first game was Sonic Colors, my second game was Sonic Generations, and to me, those are both still like pinnacle modern Sonic games. I still go back and play Colors. I
can
still
I
go back.
uh can I confess a sin really quick?
I know you don't like cover colors, Kevin.
No, 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 no. Colors, I actually think is one of the better modern Sonic games. I generally don't like the modern Sonic games, but I actually I played Generations and I refunded it.
Oh man.
Ooh.
we might.
Well, I think I explained this to you before, but I bought it for the classic Sonic gameplay, and the engine just doesn't match up with classic Sonic gameplay, so
You
I
are
returned
right.
it.
It's very different.
Yeah. Anyway, keep
But
going with
but but so based on those two games, like my expectations were somewhat elevated. I was cynical about the tubular level design, but I was like, well, this is the same writing staff behind Sonic Colors. I mean, I
Right.
think that game has some of the best writing in any Sonic game. And like it seems like it could be fun, and I was having a fun time. And then Frozen Factory, and then so we mentioned earlier that I don't really have a problem with the run button, and I don't, except for Frozen Factory because it's an ice level, and Sonic's control just like goes out the window in when he's
Y-
skating on ice in Sonic Lost
Yeah.
World.
See, I never liked that because like they don't really put ice physics in Sonic games, usually for like good reason. Like
Right, because he's already moving so fast. It's like,
yeah, like like Ice Cap Zone has no ice physics at all.
right.
Except for, like there are certain parts where like in Sonic Mania where he freezes and he slides across. That's the only time.
Yeah, like
Um,
Press Garden.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, it's generally a good idea to avoid that.
Yeah, but the key difference is
When you're
that
making a game about going super fast.
the key difference is that Press Garden's a good level, and
Yeah.
Frozen Factory is not a good series of levels. And after that, just like everything about the game was just like, I mean, I was still having like, I was like, this is okay, but just it took the life out of me. I lost something when I played through Frozen Factory in Sonic Lost
Something
World.
died inside
Yeah,
Tom. Yeah.
exactly.
Um, I'll
And
I'll
I just never
I'll
got it
confess,
back.
I never finished Lost World. I remember playing a demo, didn't really care for it. I think it was the run button plus like modern Sonic game. I was like, this is asking me to do too much. Like for me
I,
as a classic Sonic fan, it was asking me to not only play a modern Sonic game but also play a different modern Sonic game, and I just couldn't do it. Uh, so I'm not as true of a fan as I claim to be. But
We're two sides of the same coin, Kev. I'm more of a
yeah,
modern Sonic fan. You're more of a classic Sonic fan. I
yeah.
prefer
Did
SA2. You prefer SA1.
Yeah. Did I ever tell you that did I ever show you the picture of my old room where it looks identical in terms of setup to Sammy Classic Sonics fans room, and like my friends are all convinced that in like a past life I was Sammy Classic Sonic fan, and like I just somewhere in my childhood I like hit my head and got amnesia, forgot all about it. We're both like glasses wearing like Sonic fans, same room. Uh yeah,
I
uh,
know you don't watch it, but it's very similar to the how the villain works in part 5 of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure.
uh,
But so
uh,
you had another game to talk about, or
I had a couple.
more?
Just really quickly, I want to talk about Mother 3.
Oh,
Now
okay.
Mother 3 is a fantastic game. It's probably one of my favorite games, easily in my top 10. Um, I I will say there are parts of it that I'm not incredibly fond of, like just in terms of like because let me put it this way: the first time you go through Mother 3, there are some really hard parts, and the first time you do it, you feel immensely satisfied because the story is the payoff. The experience of Mother 3 just in itself is the payoff. You
Hmm.
earned this. It's kind of the similar effect of like Mother 1. If you ever play Mother 1, excruciatingly difficult game, like super grindy, super hard, but you feel really satisfied at the end of it because like a lot of it's up to the player, and it's open world and all that. um to and the player has to kind of like piece the story together, which I kind of like. But Mother 3 is a game that like I actively replay. Like I make it a point to replay Mother 3 every so often.
Hmm.
um but there are parts of the game where like sometimes, and this happens as I replay it more and more, I look back and I'm like, I don't really want to replay that part. and and the part I'm talking about, two parts come to mind in particular. So the first time I played Mother 3, I played it on an emulator on my old phone, and and what's really tricky about that is the combo system in Mother 3 is rhythm based,
Right.
and the emulation plays the sound slightly off, and your inputs are slightly off. So it makes the combo system almost impossible. So I would just like mash the A button and like hope that I get a combo. It worked out. I'd probably I definitely didn't get like the full use out of it, but it made the game considerably harder. I got stuck on this one mini boss right before. I won't spoil anything because Mother 3 has too many spoilers as it is actually. So like googling Mother 3 gives you a spoiler immediately. So if you're interested in the game and you've never been exposed to it, do not Google it. Just play it.
Holy shit. Porky's Darth Vader.
Yeah. But no, there's a mini boss and it's a base. It's an upright base, and it tries to kill you, and you're fighting it in this attic. And it's one of those situations where like you can't really backtrack, but you can't really go forward until you beat this boss, kind of like Nier Automata. Nier Automata. Anyway, uh, but this boss is pretty hard if you can't get combos. But then I replayed the game, got the combo down, easy peasy, nothing to it. But then there's another boss later in the game called the Barrier Trio, and they have an insanely high defense stat and insanely high attack stat. So, well, PSI, they can use the psychic abilities and just demolish you.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's that, like high damage, high special damage, or high defense, high special damage output. And they're just hard. Like they're just really hard. And like, you can beat them if you play smart, and it does always feel good when they like explode. But it does, like lately I've been finding like when I wanna, and it comes at one of the best parts of Mother 3 too. So lately I find when I want to replay Mother 3, I'm like, I don't want to fight the Barrier Trio. I just don't. Like I'll play up to that. Maybe I'll play like around that, but I don't know. But it feels like a crime to do that, like because you have to play it to the end. Like Mother 3 is just one of those games, and I just find myself going back to Mother 3 less and less because of the Barrier Trio. And it's not because that they're necessarily hard or annoying, like to a considerable degree. It's just that I've done this so many times,
Right.
and I no longer get the same satisfaction from it. So, in a way, Barrier Trio, Mother 3.
You could say the Barrier Trio is your barrier from
Yes,
your
Mother Trio.
repeat playthroughs of Mother 3.
Yeah.
Um,
I have a couple more if you want me to rapid fire through them, or if you have some that you want to talk about.
How about I'll do one more, and then you can rapid fire, and then we can get into the games that we've been playing.
Okay.
So real quick, I'm just gonna talk about my experience with God of War 4, which, even though I have come out as liking this game, I enjoy God of War 4. I enjoyed the experience. I was pretty against it conceptually. I feel like I felt like, and still somewhat do feel like, that it's a game that is becoming very homogenous with stuff like The Last of Us and Tomb Raider, and
It's
got
a
a little
PS4
bit
exclusive.
of Dark Souls in there. And so it just felt like very bland. And, I was like, the game looks nice, but I'm not really seeing what everyone else is seeing. And to a certain degree, I still don't. However, there was, I think the point in the game where I saw things more was when I actually got out of Elfheim, Elfheim is the area which certainly impressed me the most visually, but just had pretty annoying enemies. You fight the boss of the area in this like dark field, and it's just like you can't see anything. He's darting all over the place. It's annoying. Right after that, though, is when I started getting more into it. And I can't really explain, like, I can't really point to a specific moment because, like, the game's open world and it's got a lot going on. But now I really appreciate God of War 4 in terms of its storytelling. just how it is sort of a deconstruction of classic God of War, knowing that Kratos' life is going to become even shittier as we proceed along this new God of War Norse mythology series. It makes me interested. It makes me interested how they're sort of turning the table, like what exactly Kratos' role is going to be in changing Norse mythology, because like Norse mythology is all built around prophecy and Ragnarok and stuff like that.
Right.
And how he's disrupting that. So like once the relationship between Kratos and Atreus was more firmly established is when I began to appreciate God of War 4 much more than I initially did.
Mm.
And that's all I
Yeah, I
got to say
mean,
about that.
so like when you're saying that you like the game more when it went from God of War to Dad of Boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
could say that.
I think I know. I mean, I haven't played it, but I know a couple people who like really appreciate just the writing of that game. I don't know much about it, but I just
I
uh
tell you though, Kev, whenever
yeah.
God of War 5 or whatever that game ends up being called comes out, no one is ever going to go back and play God of War 4 because oh my gosh, the ending is such a cheap cliffhanger.
I see. Uh well, all right. I Before I get into the other things that made me angry about games, I do want to take a second to talk about things that made me happy about games. So I feel like this one's pretty easy and pretty like I feel like I don't need to. This almost seems too obvious when I was considering, like you were like, hey, I was considering do this segment. I was like, okay, cool, and almost immediately I thought of mods and Skyrim
Mm-hmm.
because like Skyrim is definitely, when you first play Skyrim, it's it's like huge, it's open, it's probably, I feel like for a lot of people it was like a rite of passage. It was like one of like the first, expansive video games a lot of people played. Definitely like it's almost like it was this generation's Oblivion or Morrowind or something. I don't know, it's strange. um but but anyway, no, after you play Skyrim, you know for so long, it gets to a point where you've seen every random encounter and you've been to all the towns and you've basically done all the interesting side quests. I mean, sure, you can do like the fetch quests, but who really cares? Um, and then you start, going into the Steam Workshop, and then you go to like Nexus or something, and that's when like the game suddenly like reignites sort of what originally captured your interest to begin with. Like it suddenly becomes more expansive because you can just suddenly add stuff to the game. And I don't know, I just think, mods in Skyrim, it's just, I mean, like there's something magical about Bethesda bareboning a game, like
Yeah.
uh,
It's almost, I mean, a fundamental part of the experience now is like
yeah,
Skyrim with
yeah.
mods.
Well, I mean, think about like the definitive edition or whatever, the enhanced edition. That is essentially like a modded version.
Right,
They
exactly.
just upscaled the resolutions, and funnily enough, those actually aren't even the best textures for the game because like there had been better textures for years before that version of the game came out or something like that. But uh, anyway, I just mods in Skyrim,
Yeah.
good. Uh, I think also when I was thinking about Mother 3, I was thinking about how like other JRPGs and how like a JRPG really needs to stand out to me to grab my attention. And I was trying to think about like why that is, and I've come to the realization that like the start of JRPGs are usually like incredibly boring.
Oh
Uh,
yeah.
like even Pokemon, one of the longest running RPG series of all time, like the first battle is always just like mash scratch until you win,
Right.
like or tackle,
Yeah,
whatever.
we,
Um,
we were sort of floating this idea back when we were still on WECB about streaming Persona 5 Royal, having you play it when it came out, but fuck, man, I love Persona, but Persona 4 has a 3-hour intro where you are just pressing the X button. It is pretty rough.
yeah. So for me though, um, any part in a JRPG or RPG in general, like I found myself considering like even like Western like action RPGs, like I like Dragon Quest even has this problem, I think, or not Dragon Quest, sorry, Dragon Quest is JRPG, Dragon Age,
Hmm.
those games, uh, just when there's a point in the game where the combat suddenly becomes interesting, that's always the best.
Right.
Like when all of a sudden you're not just mashing one button to do your basic attack, but suddenly you can like do something really cool. Like I know in what's it called? Oh, God damn it, I can't remember the name. Um, uh, it's I always call it like fantasy Fallout. Oh, I can't
Skyrim.
remember the name. This is killing me. No, 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 no. Well, close. Divinity, Divinity Original Sin. Divinity
Oh yeah,
Original
yeah,
Sin.
yeah,
Those games. Those games are awesome. First of all, but like I remember doing a playthrough of Divinity Original Sin 2 with my friend, and like I did sort of like this like mage assassin kind of build. So I could, I was like, hang on, TJ, let me just like teleport behind this guy, and we were trying to like get into, I don't even remember what we were trying to get into, but all of a sudden like my undead skeleton character warps behind someone and like stabs him in the neck, and like that was just fun. It wasn't even combat per se. It was just like the fact that I had gained the ability to do that. Like the
right.
game had just opened up. It was cool. Um, and the same thing for like same thing could be said about like Kodor. I feel like even for a lot of the like beginning of the game, you're just kind of swinging like a vibra sword around, or like shooting a blaster at people,
Yeah,
and then all of a sudden like you're throwing like yeah,
you definitely need to get off that first planet for KOTOR to start picking up steam. That takes
yeah,
about 10 hours.
yeah. Kodor 2's intro is a lot quicker if you make it there. But anyway, yeah, no. So just when RPGs get good in general, like that's always fun. Uh, I like to think of the Final Fantasy games, specifically the older ones, where you get through the intro and then the Final Fantasy music starts playing.
Oh yeah,
Like
absolutely.
the title screen. Yeah. Uh, anyway. Um. So anyway, about the bad things again. Let's go back to the bad thing. Let's be angry again. Uh. the plot the plot for I Divine Cybermancy. Have you ever played I Divine?
No, I've never even heard of this game.
Okay, so it's like it's kind of in the same vein of Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, if you've ever played that or heard of that.
Yeah, I know
Um
Might and Magic.
okay, so it's like similar to that. It's like a source game. It's kind of made by like just a couple of dudes. Um and where Might and Magic is like the fantasy sort of source game, I Divine is like the sci-fi,
Okay.
and it has some pretty good gameplay. Like there's some pretty fun, like it combines some of my favorite things about early 3D games, like those sort of janky like the first Thief games and
Hmm.
Quake and stuff like that. It sort of combines my favorite features of those games with like just like crazy what's the franchise, we were just talking about it a couple episodes ago. Like this is the episode where Kevin can't remember names of games. uh
Deus Ex.
Deus Ex, yes,
I
Deus Ex.
caught you on that one.
Yeah, you got me. So it's got a lot of like Deus Ex like mechanics, and it's pretty cool. Except the plot is just incomprehensible. I don't understand it. The game was translated, like I don't think the game was originally in English. Um, so like not only is it translated, but sometimes it's poorly translated, and even when it's translated nicely, you don't notice it because the text boxes are just disgusting, like to look at, like it hurts your eyes. So it mostly just ends up with me like not knowing what to do because I didn't read anything, and then like trying to do some cool stuff. The gameplay, again, fun. It's the source engine, so like you can do janky stuff no matter what. Um,
Hmm.
and you'll find some way to have fun. But the plot just I couldn't comprehend it, and maybe I'm stupid, but it kind of sucks. Also, the last thing. saving this one for the finale. The gameplay of Sonic 06. I really think Sonic 06 had so much potential. I honestly think that it could have been a true Sonic Adventure 3. I think some of the writing, as cheesy as it is, was pretty good. Like, I liked where Team Dark went. I think Team Dark had like interesting development. Mephiles was a cool character. Silver was a cool character. Just everything else about the game. I could even get past like the terrible voice acting. Even I think if the game had just been good, like had the game just been fun, I think I would have given it a pass. Because like Sonic Adventure 2 had terrible, acting and kind of shoddy writing. But don't get me wrong, I like the general story of Sonic Adventure 2. I think as a concept, Sonic Adventure 2 probably has like the best story. Um, but like just because it's like wacky enough to be a Sonic game, but serious enough to like not be, like
it
baldy nose hair. Yeah,
takes itself seriously, and like that's what makes it endearing.
yeah. It's Sonic 06 just doesn't have any redeeming qualities though. Like
Yeah.
I like again the concept. I like the adventure formula. I like playing as multiple different characters. When it's done well, I don't like Sonic 06
We could probably
or
do a
Heroes for that matter.
whole episode on what is wrong with Sonic 06.
Probably. I kind of like to avoid it though. I hate being like one thing I hate hearing as a Sonic fan is like there's two things that everyone who's not a Sonic fan talks about when it comes to Sonic. Like you can go onto YouTube, Google, type in Sonic in the search bar, and I guarantee you the first result will start with someone saying, Sonic did not have an easy transition into 3D.
Yeah.
I guarantee you. I will put money on that. And then also, if it's not that, I'll put money on it on the person saying Sonic 06 has many things wrong with it, or making some joke at Sonic
Right,
06's
yeah.
expense. It's just low hanging fruit. I try to avoid it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I honestly do think the game could have been great. I wish Sega would give like the adventure formula another shot. But I don't know. That's wishful thinking on my end.
Okay. Well, that was pretty good in terms of we had a lot to say. Now we're gonna
Yeah,
say a few more things.
yeah. Let's keep the talk talk talking. Just
The
keep
talk
on talking.
So recently I've finally got around to playing the Resident Evil 3 remake, which has been sitting on my shelf in the saran wrap since I bought it like the same day as Final Fantasy VII Remake. Finally got around to playing it. I beat it in one day, and
That's speedy.
it is speedy, and that's sort of one of the issues I have with it. But I'll get into the positives first. I mean, if you guys listen to the best of the year episode that we did, you guys will know that Resident Evil 2 was on my best of the year. The Resident Evil 2 remake was on my best of the year that year. I mean, I maybe it's just because I've been playing Resident Evil 3 remake, but it still occupies a lot of my mind. I just think that is one of the best remakes slash reimaginings that's ever been done in video games. And Resident Evil 3 is like, if you like Resident Evil 2 remake, you'll definitely enjoy Resident Evil 3 remake. That being said, I it, so here's the thing. I'm not very good at Resident Evil games. I've never gotten the super, aside from Resident Evil 4 where you can just grind money, I've never gotten like the awesome infinite rocket launcher and infinite assault rifle for like beating the game super fast and not dying and stuff like that. Like, but so me being, you know, okay to crap at Resident Evil, I beat Resident Evil 3
Remake.
remake in 4 hours and 54 minutes. And I paid
Ew.
$60 for this game.
Oh, ouch.
That being, I mean, this game does have a high replayability factor with, again, because the unlock system in Resident Evil 3 Remake works a little bit different. It's not that you have to do certain actions, it's that certain actions that you do, like, killing X number of zombies or completing the game in a certain amount of time or whatever, gives you points, and you can spend those points on different things. But, you know, even replaying it, that's still pretty dicey. I mean, the $60 physical copy does come with Resident Evil Resistance, which is the online mode, but
I don't.
unless first off, in order to play it, you need a PlayStation Plus account on
Yeah, that's extra
PS4.
money. I was gonna say.
And by all accounts, and again, I have not played it myself, but by all accounts, it is not that special or great. It's just typical, 1v4 multiplayer mode. But I mean, and the other thing is, I don't know what happened exactly, but I think Mr. X from Resident Evil 2 is more of a nemesis than Nemesis is in Resident Evil 3. I mean, it is very easy to predict where Nemesis is going to show up, what that is going to exactly be like. I I mean, like original Resident Evil 3, like Nemesis is scary because he can be anywhere. He can open doors, Kevin. What do we do to protect against that?
You gotta get like is it like Jurassic Park where you need the knobs so they can't open it?
Yeah, exactly. You can actually get Nemesis stuck in like a door frame in Resident Evil 3 original. It's pretty
It,
funny to look at, but
is that I'm not huge on Resident Evil, but is Resident Evil 3 the one where I see all the mods like replacing it with different like different models where like
um so well, probably the one that got the more modding, the more publicized modding was Resident Evil 2. Like people turning the big thing was putting like the song X gonna give it to you every time Mr. X showed up. Um but like
I
also
remember seeing some mod where it was like it was just this like completely out of place anime girl. I don't even don't know. I couldn't even tell you what like which one it was from.
my favorite
Uh
one is Thomas the Tank Engine, which is a
your old
mod for
your
both
old
Res
nemesis.
exactly. Oh my god. I not to make this into personal podcast time, but being named Thomas in younger grades while everyone's watching Thomas the Tank Engine, not a fun experience. But
Well, hey, I mean, I still get people coming up to me and going, "Hi, Kevin." Uh, I get that all the time, but
but yeah, no, but I mean, you can have some extra replay time with that, but still, I mean, $60. I mean, even I believe like Resident Evil 3, you might be able. Actually, I don't think you can get it by itself right now, but it's pretty pricey for what the main event is, which is the Resident Evil 3 remake. It's still a fun time. I still enjoyed my time with it. Um, I don't really think gameplay wise there's anything that is wrong with it. The only real niggle I have gameplay wise is there's this one enemy called the Hunter Gammas, I believe,
mm,
which so like in classic Resident Evil, your health gets low enough and like these types of enemies like insta kill you. Like they have a special animation for it and everything. The Hunter Gammas do not care for that. You could be at maximum health and they will one hit kill Carlos or Jill.
well,
Um,
yeah, they don't
it,
care.
they do not care, and so maybe that could be toned up a little bit, but also get better practice at the dodge roll and Carlos's shoulder charge. But yeah, kind of disappointing price point wise. I would say wait for a price drop, but definitely worth getting at some point. It's still a fun game to play.
Mm. Speaking of shoulder charge, you know who else has a shoulder charge? Wario. Uh, you
Heck
know who,
yeah!
who's the evil version of Wario? Mario. So anyway, I've been playing Mario 64.
Nice, good
uh,
segue, Kev.
thank you, thank you. Um, our segues aren't even segues; they're more of like us standing and like at like one of those cork boards connecting threads to
It's like
like
word association, like
yeah, it's definitely just us practicing word association. So yeah, I've been playing Mario 64. I since being home, I've really haven't like my room is still mostly unpacked or packed. Like I haven't unpacked, I should say. Like my dorm stuff. They're just all like all my things are still in boxes basically. My
Hmm.
Dreamcast isn't even hooked up yet, which is like really sad to say.
I mean, Kevin without his
Yeah,
Dreamcast is like it's a dog without his bone, you know?
I know it's just not good. Well, the problem is that I don't have space for it. I don't know where to put it. The whole reason I brought it with me to college was because I needed somewhere to put it. Um, and I like I was like, well, I guess this is a sign from gamer god that I need to play the games that I already have. So I started playing through my N64 library again. Um, and I remember before I had left for college, I was working on 100%ing Mario 64 because that's just not something I've ever done before. Um, I've left with like 40 something stars, and I'm currently at like 60 something stars. So about halfway there. Um, anyway, uh, I don't what is there to say about it that hasn't already been said? I don't know. Like it's a good game. I'm not gonna bash on it.
Hell is real 2041.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
whatever. Who cares? But I I guess I'll share a little anecdote. That kind of uh like almost drove me into madness. I I suppose I should also prelude this with I've been reading a lot of Lovecraft lately.
Nice.
So as I was playing Mario 64 and going insane, I was definitely narrating in my mind like as if it was a Lovecraft story, like in 1920s English. Uh, so um,
Before you continue, I just want to say I love that we're keeping the Lovecraft theme going between Persona 5 1 or 2 weeks ago and now Mario 64.
yeah, yeah. Um, so as you may or may not know, you can get a 7th star on any level. There's usually only 6. You can get a 7th star from getting 100 coins. Um,
Oh boy, I can see where this is going.
I was playing the classic level, Jolly Roger Bay. The song that has the Dire Dire Doc song. Like
Hmm.
everyone knows it. Um, you probably know it by like the Roblox cover or whatever, where it's all oofs. Anyway, I was playing that level, and I just didn't think that like getting 100 coins in Bob on Battlefield is so easy. It's one of the easiest 100 coins in the game. Um, it's probably second only to uh, Cool Cool Mountain, the level with the penguin slide.
Oh yeah.
Because like I said, the penguin slide and additionally the rest of the level. So all you need to do is hit up the penguin slide, use the teleport at the bottom of the map to get back to the top of the map, play through the level like normal. You'll get it easy. Um, and then there's Bomb Fortress is easy enough. It's not hard, but I wouldn't say it's easy. You have to like know the map pretty well, I guess. And then there's Jolly Roger Bay. Um, it's not necessarily hard by any means. In fact, I think there is 109 coins total on this level, but I I kind of expected there to be more. Usually there's some leeway, so you can afford to miss one or two, something like that.
Right.
Um, I missed a blue coin, which are worth like 5 coins each or something like that, like 5 coins a pop. Uh, and I was like so worried that was gonna set me back, but at the same time, I was confident. I'm like, no, no, there's got to be like 105 coins, like that's feasible, right? That's feasible. And so I play through the level. I'm getting all the coins, and I'm at I don't know 40 or so, and I'm thinking, I'm gonna have to start looking a little harder. It's getting a little tough. Get to 50, 60, things are slowing down a bit. I struggle through. I start collecting the red coins for 2 each. Okay, in the 80s range. All right. Found a Goomba I didn't kill earlier. Now I'm in like 90, and then I get to 99, and,
Oh
and
my
that's it,
God.
Tom. I couldn't
Fuck.
find him. I couldn't find him. And so I keep searching. I keep searching. There's no way. There has to just be one measly coin somewhere. And I can hear like part of the reason, Tom, that people like the Dire Dire Docks song so much is because depending on where you are in the level, Jolly Roger Bay, the song actually changes. So when you're in the water, it's a little more like uh, ambient, I guess, and like
Mm-hmm.
kind of dissonant, even very otherworldly and uh, just atmospheric. When you're in the secret cave where the treasure chests are, it gets a little more peppy. Like you found like this. You're adventuring. You're in the cave, a regular spelunk. Um, and then like if you're just on land, it's kind of normal and boring. So while listening to like this because the water is everywhere, it's mostly a water level, so I just keep hearing this dissonant music, and it just ever so slightly changes from time to time, and sometimes I think I hear it change, and sometimes it does change, but I can never be 100% sure because I'm too focused on the coins, Tom, the coins. And you know what, after 20 minutes of searching, I like 20 minutes additionally. I was at 99 coins for 20 minutes, and I gave up. I just left the level. I couldn't do it anymore. Um, I went back in and I immediately found like a ring of 5 rings that I just didn't see before
Oh my
because
god.
because because the way rendering in Mario 64 works is it doesn't render it doesn't render those textures, those particles, if you will. It only registers the renders the shapes of like the landscapes if you're far away. And these coins were around like this rock spire that is like kind of to like the far left of the map. So you really have no reason to swim over there. There's nothing over there. I mean, the only thing you use the spire for is to like shoot yourself from the cannon to like climb up top of them and get the star up on the ledge. But I had no reason to be in the water by those. There was nothing over there, except there were, Tom. There were so many. And I think what threw me off is that I was over there and I did grab a few rings earlier. I just didn't think it was like a whole ring around the spire. I just thought like maybe I collected I don't know. I just wasn't thinking. I wasn't thinking.
It
So
broke
I
me.
yeah, and what like was doubly messed up is that like it's kind of the rings that were there were hidden from like if you know the general layout of the level, it's kind of like a straight line, and then you go underwater, and like there's the cave in the back. So
Mm-hmm.
when you're looking at it from where you spawn, uh, you can see the rings are in render distance, like just going forward. You can see them. I had collected those ones already. The ones up behind the spire are not in like your regular view at any point, unless you're too far away where they wouldn't come into view. so, so I had no way of knowing these were there, but I found them almost immediately. The like that I like when I reset the level essentially. I found them almost immediately, and I was losing my mind. I was like screaming internally, and I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it any longer. I gave up and threw my copy of Mario 64 into a furnace. Uh, not really. I went on to get all the coins in the ghost level, and that was actually relatively easy. I, I but that part of that was like almost even more insulting.
Yeah.
Like, I'm upset with myself. Mario 64. If you like collecting things, don't play
Well,
it.
it's good. We talked about 2 different horror games. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I'm actually gonna go on and tag Mario 64 with like in like the Google reviews or something as like psychological horror or something. I don't know, just to see if anyone changes it.
same thing with Mario Sunshine with the blue coins.
Yes. Oh my God. Don't even get me started.
All right. So, with all that said, this is a pretty good episode. So, if you want to
I think so.
listen to more of our psychotic ramblings about video games, you can follow me on Twitter at Thomas M. Brickman. You can also follow the other podcast I do with my buddy Emily, where we are breaking down every single episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You can find that on YouTube at I Want to Fight Araki, Instagram, I Want to Fight Araki, and Twitter, I Want to Fight AR1.
And if you want to follow me, because maybe you like seeing me get randomly angry at Tom, or or maybe you just want to know what's rattling around in my claptrap. I also have a Twitter at Hey It's Kevo, and that's at Hey like the horse, but don't.
But not like the horse because it's spelled differently.
Yeah, because it's spelled differently. That's what I was gonna say. And then it's like IT department with an S. This is very complicated. I want to make sure everyone gets this. And then Kevo, it's like the first letters of Kevin, but like with an O. So pretty straightforward.
And if you want to follow, if you want to follow all the information about this show, what we're going to be talking about next episode, all that jazz, you can follow us on Twitter at PostGameCon. That's at PostGameCon. Screw you, Kevin. And with
Yeah.
all that said, we'll see you guys next time.
See ya.